is the Magnate.
Hello, this is the Magnate. You're welcome to this week's edition of the program. We call it Mentoring on Television, and you call it Lending a Voice to the Growth of Businesses. Like we said before, we're running our ethical finance series, and I'm sure we have been enlightened on some of the aspects that we probably do not know what they really meant. Today is no exception. We're going to be looking at that aspect that you're always confronted. Probably in Nigeria, anytime you are traveling, you say SUKUK. SUKUK. This road is called by SUKUK. What does it mean? I have a resource person here. Let's give you a short break. We'll come back. Our resource person will be here as usual to continue the enlightenment process. Over to Idris Raibu for the mentoring segment.
Are you thinking of starting a business or even growing your business and wondering how to go about it?
There are 2 or 3 major requirements to start a business. Startup capital naturally differ from one type of business to another and from one size of business to another.
Join Idris Raibu MNI on business mentoring segment in the TV show The Magnate.
No matter how small a business is, whether nano, micro, small, medium or large enterprises, you must, as a matter of priority, commence and start with bookkeeping. The higher the risk you take, the higher the likely rate of returns or money you will be able to make.
The Magnate shows every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on DSTV 369 via NTA 2. It is indeed super mentoring on television.
Hello viewers, once again it's a pleasure to have you glued to your boxes of television or viewing us on our social media handles, be them on Facebook, Instagram, as well as other or YouTube channels. It is a pleasure to be with you and to continue where we stop. We've had a number of episodes. We started with idea of business, types of businesses, and sourcing finance, as well as how best to manage or keep records of businesses. Today we'll be talking about one fundamental, important and strategic aspect of business. What are we talking about? We're talking about human capital. Quite a number of times businesses start small, very small. As they grow, there are needs, not just a need, there are needs for additional hands to manage a business. From the single or one-man business to the need to expand and say have branches, call it mama shop. She runs a food vending business where they cook, say, rice, amala, pounded yam and other assorted food that we normally eat, and she wants to have a second, say, location. Instead of just having it in central Lagos, or I want to have a branch in Ikeja parts of Lagos, or in say Lekki parts of Lagos. Then the need comes for what? For a recruitment to fill certain level of vacancies. Now, before we delve into the issue of recruitment, let's understand the gamut of a typical business. No matter how small a business is, there are certain compartmentalizations of functions. Number one, there is production. That is the actual operational room where these, the product is being, manufactured or processed for eventual sale. There is a section that we call supply chain. How do you buy the raw materials that you use to eventually, process and come out with a product that you need to sell? So you need to make sure that that aspect is also broadly conceptualized and then, identified. Then there is the realm of marketing. You need to advertise, you need to make sure that people get to know what exactly you are producing and when it will be available. Then you need to have, we did question, or we did address the issue of record keeping. You might need a section where records can be kept, what you bought, what the price you bought, the cost of adding value and processing, the raw materials to finished product, and then how you price it. So those are also another function. You also need what we can use an adjective to describe as a glue to all this operation. That is the human capital, human resources, personnel department. Now, by the time you dimension all these aspects that I have identified, you realize that a typical business will require close to about 5-7 hands that could do justice to the business. Now, getting this personnel is not going to be a tea party. You may need probably to use a consultant. A company like ours, Timeline Consult, does a lot of that. You can hire quality human capital for you to be able to run such a business. Maybe you will say, where do I see money to be able to hire these men and women to help? Seldom you need people that you have to put on your payroll. But as the business grow, you will certainly need additional hands to help you. One hand may not be able to take the rooftop of a building. It will require multiplicity of hands. So for you to succeed, you have to think outside the box. You have to be able to say it has reached a crescendo. It has reached a level where I will need additional hands. Sometimes, like I did say, you may not necessarily need to have people on your payroll. You can hire, for example, a consultant that will be coming on what we call a pay as you go. If you don't need an accountant to keep your records, you can hire a firm of chartered accountants that can easily keep records for you. You can even hire someone. This day and age, there are people who are doing National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. You can get them at rock bottom price. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be insultive to the youth corpers, but these are prices that are fairly cheap and good and decent for for companies. You could also, like I did say, use unemployed graduates that can be what we call ad hoc staff. So they come in, instead of 5 days in a week, 30 days in a month, they can just be coming 2 days in a week to work, and that way you are managing your costs. So these are avalanche of opinions, or avalanche of options, avalanche of avenues of hiring quality hands to be able to man your business. Attitudes and character of the individuals you hire, you need to be careful, because this day and age, you don't, in trying to enhance your business, don't bring a destroyer. You must be looking for someone who will add value, not who will destroy value. Once again, thank you for keeping a date with us. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Welcome back. It's my great pleasure to welcome back to the Magnate, Dr. Bashir Oshodi. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Trust Arthur. It's an permissible investment company. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Oja.
Yes, SUKUK. I'm sure it's on the lips of virtually all Nigerians. But first of all, let's understand, what is it? Is it the name of a company? Is it the name of a bond? Is it the name of a... What exactly is SUKUK? Since you are a global person, give us a global perspective before we localize it.
Okay, thank you very much. You have bonds. Bonds are basically debt instruments, right? So in the evolution of non-interest finance globally, they had argued that should we call it Islamic bonds, and that's because in the case of bonds, it's basically debt. In the case of, bond that aligns with non-interest banking principle, it means there must be an underlying asset, right? That underlying asset may generate or may not generate its own cash flow, right? But there must be an asset, a real asset, you know, they're trying to put together. So at the end of the argument, some, I don't know, 25 years ago or so, they concluded that let's call it SUKUK rather than call it Islamic bonds.
Okay. Ethical bonds.
Yes, or ethical bonds. Or Sharia compliant bonds. They just call it SUKUK. You know, there's someone I know who's one of our Sharia scholars, the global space. It was in that meeting. I said, no, let's call it SUKUK. Now,
What's SUKUK?
Yes. So SUKUK is a plural for what you call SOC.
Okay.
Or SAC.
Okay.
You know, it's from the word SAC. The white man, you know, got the word check, meaning singular.
Okay.
Right. So in the olden days, when you had, you know, a lot of global fights within the military space, they used to give the soldiers bits, sack, checks, right? A bundle of check that is used in paying the soldiers is called SUKUK, which is a plural. So I would say SUKUKs. SUKUK itself is plural.
Pluralize it.
They pluralize it further. SUKUK itself is plural. And again, I must confess, it's from the word, the singular of SUKUK, sack, is from where they got check from, the check that we use today.
Okay.
Right, so it's an Arabic word, right? So now when you bundle a project together, I want to get money from loads of people, you know, with equal certificates.
Wow.
Is then SUKUK. As simple as that. Just as simple as that. I can't make it simpler.
Okay. I hear a lot of people, there are certain period of the year where they say, SUKUK bond is now available, go and enlist, go and subscribe and all of that. And before you know it, it's oversubscribed or it's all subscribed. What is that? What is so interesting about it that it's usually oversubscribed, even among, irrespective of where you are from?
In 2015 or 2015 thereabout, late 2015, we met with government regulators and a lot of the government parastatals that are involved in financial related matters. And we had a session on whether we should have SUKUK in Nigeria, sovereign SUKUK. And in that meeting, one of them, you know, alluded to the fact that, you know, when they do bonds sometimes, they sometimes don't see the assets they've created over a long period of time. And so we made it very clear that in the case of SUKUK, the asset is going to be seen because there must be an underlying structure or asset that I can trade in. Now, and so we then made it very clear that, hey, by the time we start to have sovereign SUKUK in Nigeria, people will see the underlying asset and they will always say it, right? And that was in 2015. By 2017, the first sovereign SUKUK was launched and the asset is still there till today. And all the subsequent SUKUK that the country did, you know, you can see the assets. In fact, just like you mentioned, some people think that is the name of a construction company. So is this SUKUK 3 company that we built? No, it's the name of a concept, the bond, right? And that's it really. Okay.
Yeah. I hear that it's also a form of halal investment, is that correct?
Yes, so you know, again, it could have been ethical bond, but it's SUKUK. The underlying asset must meet certain criteria, you know. You can't use it to build tobacco companies. You can't use it to build, you know, fighter jets.
How would they know that if you are getting it?
Yeah. So the underlying asset is always defined from day one.
Okay.
You know, and more importantly, the advisory committee of experts must certify it that it's compliant. Okay. So that's the other part. So if you don't have certification from the advisory committee of experts, even if there's an underlying asset, even if you think it's compliant, but as long as the advisory committee of experts did not give their signature, did not put down their signature to certify it, then it is not compliant.
Okay, so if I want to enlist now, if I want to subscribe, there's a period of SUKUK has been released and all of that. I must go through all this process to be eligible.
No. So anybody can buy. In fact, in Nigeria, the first SUKUK was in 2017. 93% of the companies and the entities and individuals that bought are not from the expected faith.
Wow.
93. The last one that was done, I think this year, at least 85% is from the conventional space. 85. What that means is that it doesn't have to do with faith or what you do as a company, right? So again, if you want to buy, just go to any of the
regulators.
Yeah, not regulators now. The asset management companies are marketing it.
Okay.
You buy through them, or fund management companies or brokers. You buy through them. They submit documents. Usually when it's oversubscribed, they'll then give you whatever they can afford to. But usually, because federal government is trying to encourage private or individual,
All inclusive.
yes, all inclusive. Yes, so anytime individuals buy, they usually give them everything. But when corporates with the bigger monies buy, they reduce what they're supposed to get.
Okay.
So assume you wanted to buy, so for example, 5 billion, you may end up getting just 500 million.
Wow.
Yes, because of the oversubscription, or maybe 700 million. But most of the time, you struggle to get 1/5 or whatever you bid for.
Okay, is that a way to encourage people to invest?
Yes, individuals to invest in long-term government projects.
Okay.
The only thing is that in the SUKUK, you have to hold on to maturity. Maturity means that it's for 5 years, not for 5 years, for 7 years, not for 7 years.
Okay.
For 10 years, you hold it on for 10 years. Except if you want to exit, you can go to any of the exchanges to exit.
Is it true that the returns really not as much as other investments? Is that correct?
No, it's very competitive. The last one is at 19.75. That's very competitive. Yeah, I know there was one that was done about 4 years ago at 11%. That was because at that time prices were low, right? But the last one is very competitive.
Okay.
So I would say the pricing is fine.
Okay.
I mean, you think about that in the banks, even less, maybe they're far less than that in the banks.
Interesting. Dr. BASHEER OSHODI, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Trust Arthur. Now, we opened the program, it's all over the roads. We want to know the relationship between Nigerian roads and SUKUK. Let's go for a short break. And we come back. Dr. OSHODI is still here. We'll be lending the voice to that. Shortly. Welcome back. The program is still the Magnates. We are conversing here, and my Magnates for the week is still Dr. BASHEER OSHODI, the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Trust Arthur. And welcome back to the program.
Okay, Aja.
Now, you travel all over the Federation. Nowhere is excluded. You see signs SUKUK. What is the relationship with Nigerian roads and SUKUK?
Okay, thank you very much. So SUKUK can be asset-backed or asset-based. Again, I'll break it down. Asset-backed, of course, all non-interests or ethical finance products show up underlying assets, right? But asset-backed means that there can be a recourse to the assets. That is, when there's a problem, you can all go to the asset and sell it and get your money back, right? And that asset should also generate its own income. So if I do a real estate SUKUK, for example, and the real estate transaction fails, you can sell the property, all the investors will get their money. Alternatively, from that investment where it's performing, the rent or the cash flow can be used to pay investors. So that's asset-backed, right? Asset-backed, you have recourse to the asset. Asset-based means that you don't have recourse to the asset. Yes, you have the asset quite well in the case of roads, but the roads are not tolled, right? Apart from, I cannot even go and occupy the road and say, government is not paying us, so we occupy the road is not ours. That's not feasible, right? On the other hand, because the road is not tolled, the roads are not tolled, that means that it's not even generating income. So you cannot also say it's not asset backed because there's no income from it. So you cannot actually, so the idea of the federal government is to do SUKUK that is asset based, right? Such that the income is generated from other income of the federal government.
Okay. From
the sale of oil and gas and all of these things to other incomes. So government pays, just like your mortgage or your own finance facility. You buy a house, you're living in the house, but you pay that mortgage from your salary. That's exactly it. So it's acceptable to have such, right? In the case of private issuances, they are asset backed because that asset must generate income and can use to occupy it. In the case of federal government SUKUK, asset based most of the time, you cannot occupy the asset, but there's a full faith of the federal government to guarantee repayment. It's on the back of that guarantee that it grows. People, of course, there's market confidence. The federal government is guaranteeing we don't have to worry about anything, right? Whether they stores or not. Now, federal government can actually do another form of SUKUK for roads, but that will be asset backed. That is, they'll put tolls there, and just like you have in Malaysia. In Malaysia, most of the roads are asset backed SUKUK, because the roads most of the time generate their own income.
Okay.
Even though you can't still occupy them.
I'm interested because does it mean that all the funds generated from SUKUK is only deployed to road construction. Do they use it for any other
You can
infrastructural
use SUKUK for
development?
anything, really. You can use it for agricultural production.
Well, let's look at the federal government now.
Yes, in the case of federal government, yes, SUKUK, the only underlying asset are the roads.
Okay.
But they tell you the number of roads you want to do for every series or for every tranche.
Federal roads.
Yeah, federal roads. They tell you that we're going to do Amadu Bello for this particular tranche. We're going to do this particular road. So that's the way it's been structured. So it's specific.
Okay. One of other interests that I want to bring out there, since they have been using these SUKUK funds for the roads, what has changed, as it were?
Oh,
you have a lot more money now to deploy to such a infrastructural development.
Okay, for me, so let me take it from the research, my research background.
Yes.
So research shows that the better your infrastructure, the better transaction within the country.
Sure.
And then the better your GDP, right? That is, when you communicate more and you move around more, right? And have better infrastructure, including roads, more people will do business, right? And on the back of that, you have increased earnings. So can you imagine, I mean, at the time in the country where you have potholes, a journey of 3 hours will take you 6 hours or 7 hours. Now with good roads, you can move very easily. So that saves you a lot of time. Man that should have, just been home doing your work or in the office doing your work, you're traveling, right? That's the real benefit, if I get a question right.
To talk of the bad aspect or the destruction it will give to the cars and even the humans.
Exactly. Apart from that, even tourism will be encouraged.
Yes.
So they what called local tourism. I mean, again, research based, right? We found out that in a part of in Nigeria, local tourism, does better than, if you like, global tourism.
This is less expensive.
Exactly. In South Africa, for example, a lot of people go to South Africa, they go to a lot of their states, to enjoy the environment, right? So in their own case, they enjoy more from foreign tourism. But in case of Nigeria, people move around more. In fact, tourism as a percent of GDP is better in Nigeria than in South Africa. Not because of anything, but because of the fact that
we have more of these tourist sites.
Yes, in the same vein, our kind of tourism is business tourism.
Whoa.
So people struggle to get Nigerian visa from all over the world.
We like money.
Yes, they want to come. Yeah, so people can move around better. Believe it or not, every time you construct new roads, it helps economic growth.
Okay, I'm just thinking now that this SUKUK of a thing, it may, even those who have subscribed, they are more or less also even getting reward when you look at it from the corporate social responsibility. You are pulling funds for it to be used to develop infrastructure in the country where you live, irrespective of the returns you are going to get from that. How true is that?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. They are supporting development. Again, why don't take the money out to other countries when you can just spend it here? And when government needs money, of course, government also want to mop up excess liquidity from the market by ensuring that they go into real projects. Again, for me, the thing is you can see what the money is being used for.
Exactly.
Unlike, if you like, apologies to bonds, unlike the bond market where you may not see what it's being used for. It may as well be used to take care of overheads. That's the major difference.
How did they arrive at using SUKUK bond for the infrastructure?
Oh yeah, so again, like I said, a lot of research paper. Of course, we learn from Malaysia, we learn from the GCC countries. But I think the interesting thing was that session in 2015, where we presented papers to show that SUKUK can enhance economic development. So we proved beyond reasonable doubt, that when you have sovereign SUKUK, it can actually help your development. And again, we had all the regulators, the major regulators, and of course the practitioners, very few of them at that time. We all met to say, okay, this is the direction.
Okay.
And we believe strongly that it will happen. Again, based on what has happened in other countries, we're setting. It's good. And of course, Nigeria has taken the lead in Africa in terms of SUKUK. And in fact, I'm also confessing, just a matter of time, Nigeria is going to be surpassing the bulk of Europe, in terms of SUKUK issuances.
Okay, interesting. Well, we have come to the end of the program, but not before you give the usual counsel. If there are concerns about this SUKUK for the individuals, the government, and groups, what are those concerns you want to counsel everybody?
Okay, thank you very much. So very quickly, in the global SUKUK markets, I mean, they're at about $5.5 trillion, right, as of today. In the next 5 years, it's going to hit about $10 trillion. That's going to be 100% growth in 5 years. Now, what we want to see in Nigeria is not issues or challenges, but such sharp growth to align with the global market, right? That will then say, if we are 1.3 trillion naira today, can we be at 2.6 trillion in 5 years' time? That's where we want to be. Challenges, the only major challenge I see is that you have to hold on to maturity, right? Now, usually, generally in bond market, at the point of selling, you want to exit before maturity. There's what called mark to market, right? So that's the valuation of that instrument at the time you want to sell it, which may have reduced. So, for example, if you bought SUKUK of, say, ₦1 million, and you cannot wait for 7 years, and you want to sell it after 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 years, the value at that time will be 900,000. You know what I mean? So you may have, you will probably lose some money, right? Yeah. So, but that's a global thing in terms of bonds generally, right? But apart from that, everything is just fine.
Thank you. Everything is fine. Watching this program is fine. We're lending a voice to the growth of your business and mentoring you. See the quantum of information you have acquired just listening to Dr. Bashir OSHODI. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Pleasure.
Yes, we're not done with him yet. We're still holding on to him. We need to just tap that cerebral stuff from him. It's been the Magnate. I'm sure we've mentored you enough. Let's do it again same time next week when we shall bring you another edition of this program. Remember, watch the repeat broadcast of this program on our YouTube channel and also follow us on our social media handle. Till next week, we'll bring you another edition. Stay tuned. Bye for now.